Hey, what's going on guys? This is Jay Khuli from Jay Khuli's Work. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at top 20 useful effects inside in Adobe After Effects. So might you have been known about these effects or not, but sometime using your personal projects or Fiverr or freelancing projects and whatever it is. But I'm gonna talking about 20 most useful features inside in Adobe After Effects. So without wasting any time, let's get jump into it. So the number one effect goes for the Radial Wipe. So the Radial Wipe basically do some little sorts of regular transition like Premiere Pro does, but it has some parameters to be tweaking around to see some cool effects like Pac-Man animation or something like that. By using the transition complexation, we're gonna use the transition between a clip versus another clip. And also, if we're gonna using the feather effect, we're gonna be creating some cool transition effect. Number two, CC sphere. So what if I'm gonna using a globe? So where do you get the globe? Don't worry, we have an effect called CC sphere. By using the CC sphere effect, we're gonna be turning our 2D layer into a sphere. Sounds cool. It has also three parameters of rotation X and Y and Z axis. And the secondary option is the light option. By using the light option, we're gonna change the light direction from the sphere to sphere as to create a fake sunlight effect inside in Adobe After Effects. So we're gonna be doing some cool unworldly world animation inside in Adobe After Effects by using the CC sphere effect. But it has its own limitation. We cannot create a 3D sphere inside in that CC sphere. If you want to do a 3D sphere effect inside in Adobe After Effects, you have to have installed a plugin called Video Copilot from the videocopilot.net. I'm gonna give this videocopilot.net link in the description below. So roaming out the globe, we have our third effect, and that is the CC mesh warp. So what is a mesh? A mesh is a kind of surface that have the rows and columns onto the clips, and then we're gonna be tweaking the rows and columns according to our choice. So by using the mesh warp, we're gonna be take a look at surfaces and then chop it and point it through this surface. For example, we have a computer screen and we're gonna be replace this computer screen to something like unworldly drone footage videos that we cannot do physically, or some sort of limitation of us that we're gonna be don't get access of that. Then we're gonna be place it by using the mesh warp techniques. So we're gonna be increasing the rows and columns and then match the pinpoint and the corner point to the computer screen. But it has its own limitations. What is the limitation, Jay Khuli? You're gonna ask me. I'm gonna answer you to the following fact that rows and columns are something like two-dimensional kind of thing. So how are we gonna overcome this following fact? Well, we have another plugin called CC Power Pin. So how we can differentiate the power pin from the previous effect? Well, the power pin effect works very commonly. Instead of using rows and columns, it uses only the pins to detect a point. For example, you have a rotating by using your camera angle for something like distorting angles or something like that. You cannot use these rows and columns inside in the mesh warp effect. Rather, we're gonna use the corner power pin effect inside in Adobe After Effects. So what if your screen are not straightforward or angular, also the LED curve display that today's technology offers? Well, we're gonna be using our fifth technique called bezier warp. It is an advanced warp technique which is used in something like corner pins or something like that. What a power pin is not capable of is doing the curves things in an angular surface. For example, your screen is totally in oval shape from there, and then the curvature from there, and the screen also looking so narrower because of the camera angle that you have put in onto it. So using that effect, we're gonna be creating some more interesting effects. Let's say we're gonna be using our shape layer or a layer, and underneath we have a background layer, but we're gonna using the layer to be web layer or something like that. Well, the next effect will help us doing that, and that is CC Bandit. So using the Bandit effect, we're gonna be using layer properties and then using the pins from the bending. We're gonna be use bend it whatever we like. The problem with the bending effect is that if we use this bend effect from the outside of the composition of the particular layer that the effect put it on, then it will create some artifacts or something like not pleasing to the eyes due to the composition restriction. And then here comes the grow bound effect. So using the grow bound effect, we're gonna be increase the pixel size of the secondary compositions from the layer. Suppose you have a layer called 1280 to 720p, and the background layer consists of 1920 by 1080 full HD. So with the 1280 by 720 layer selected, we cannot bend it up above its limitation or the boundary line of the rectangle that consists of 1280 pixel width and height of 720 pixel. So in this case, the CC Bandit will help you. So in this case, the CC Bandit will not help us. So instead of using the CC Bandit or replacing that, we're gonna be using the CC Bandit and also using a new effect called Grow Bounds. It basically tells the After Effects to increase your boundary range from whatever your composition has to the copying technique and then pushing the boundary limits, and that is you call the growing of the boundary. So you name it. You might be wondering why I'm using this mirror effect inside in real life. I should have used this on the After Effects. So don't worry about that. We also have an effect called mirror effect inside in the After Effects. So using the mirror effect, we're gonna be creating some mirror effect inside in the compositions, something like that. So using the mirror techniques will help us doing similar kind of results as a horizontal flip inside in Premiere Pro. Suppose we have to using animating object that is the symmetric. So we're gonna be using the half animating objects and then keyframe it in a certain way that it looks like a symmetric object, just revealing. Better for using our logo reveal inside in Adobe After Effects. So we're gonna be using this technique to use something creative shots inside in Adobe After Effects for creating a great intro videos for content creators or something like that for their logos especially. The next effect is very simple, and that is the transform effect. It is similar to the Premiere Pro transform effect inside in Premiere Pro. So we don't use extra time to spend this to explain you about the transform effect. What is the name refers to that. The transform effect is used better for nested scaling. Suppose you have a scale properties activated into the timeline from the basic keyframe editing inside in After Effects, but then you have used the next scale underneath to the newer scale. So what it basically does is that first apply the scale from the whole entire clip and then inside in the transformed scale to the additional attributes to a particular objects, something like a square box or particular circle. And the next effect is simple choker. The simple choker means which chokes like a simple technique. For example, you have a box inside in your compositions, and then we're gonna be using the simple choker effect. Basically increase the outer radius or the inner radius of the particular box. It's something like a bevel edge inside in Photoshop. We're gonna be use this technique to animating some sort of shrinking down to the object and then expanding to the objects by using keyframes effects to create some interesting effects inside in After Effects. So we're gonna be talking about some square shapes or something like that. But what if you're gonna use your square shape into a rotten paper bowl and then use this to some creative, crunchy, old school vintage vibe effect? Well, the next effect will solve your problem, and that is the rough and edge. Inside in rough and edge technique, we're gonna be using some of the borders of the boxes that it look like something a little bit of crunchiness over the edges. so that it don't look like a static, robotic objects of square pixels. I mean the perfection. All of the stuffs are not super perfect or super sharp edges inside in real life. So rough image is kind of emulating the fact that a real world sees by using their eyes onto the objects. So using this time code effect, we're gonna be creating some of the most useful techniques and some sort of countdown time of a big entry show or something like that. Or you're gonna emulate the recording effect inside in your camera by emulating the following fact that you are recording the behind the screens or something like that. So the timecode plugin is very essential and important to use for some various stuffs like using as a pre-schedule for anything or any video that you are streaming or something like that. So it's just gonna create a vibe of using the time and using the countdown 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to the 60 seconds. So this is one of the most cool useful effects. You can use it inside in Adobe After Effects. Next effect is similar to the camera grid options, and you name it, this is a grid effect. So basically grid effect is something like using some grids to follow along to your composition and something like that. Not very special to use it, but you're gonna use this as you want. The next effect I'm gonna talking about is using the CC ball action. By using the CC ball action, we're gonna be creating some in-depth ball from the composition. Well, what is the ball inside in composition? Well, we have counted our pictures as a pixels or a bunch of pixels to be framed out inside a composition that we have created inside in Adobe After Effects for a while. But what is the specialty of this effect is that it gonna turn your effect or pixel size effect into a certain sorts of balls, by using all of the balls inside in the composition. So what's the uses of this ball CC ball actions? Well, if we're gonna use this to explode something like that or something like blown up from the static objects to piece by piece or exploitation or whatever you like. So it's a very cool and interesting effect for kids playing or replicate the look of LCD screen from the real life by using it onto the green screen or something like that.